Welcome everybody to our latest edition of Market Wrap. We are back to you from the office in Philly. As we can see, nice surroundings here. It's been a gorgeous week in Philly. It's been great energy. It's great to be back to the new normal, whatever that is, but it's feeling great. There's a lot of good energy back in the business, back in the building. People are coming back slowly, but we are starting to open up as much as we can with everything going on. We have 3 watches that we really love this week. I had a great week already. One was a last-minute substitution that we'll get into, but the first one we're going to talk about is one of my all-time favorite watches, is the Lange Lumen. This particular version is the second version, which is the Grand Lange Lumen, 117035. They made 200 pieces of these, and if anyone's ever seen it, it's the coolest see-through dial that you can light up. It glows, the date pops in. It's just an amazing technology. It's something they've only done in a couple of different runs. It's, to me, one of the best Langes they've ever been. We don't see them very often because guys who get them tend to hang on to them. It's a great piece, so this was exciting to see come across my desk this week. The second piece I'm actually wearing today. I actually got it about an hour ago. It came in just today. It's a 6265 Big Red. The vintage Daytonas have really grown on me in the last 10, 15 years. This particular one is the silver dial with the Big Red Daytona. Steel bezel, and a Jubilee bracelet, which again, you don't see very often. They did make it both ways. The majority of them were sold on oyster bracelets. So to have one come in that's really clean, it needs a little love in the movement, but that's easy to take care of. We can do that in-house, which is great. So we'll get that fitted up and we'll have an awesome vintage piece. And these tend to go real quick because again, finding them in great condition that really haven't been monkeyed around with, it's all original, is really hard to find. And the last piece is kind of an oddball piece we're going to talk about today because it's a Patek Philippe pocket watch. It's got a beautiful enamel dial. Now, everybody's like, why would I care about a pocket watch? Well, they just make me smile when I get them in. I mean, it's beautiful, 18 karat, late 1800s, early 1900s, conditions amazing, and these things trade for $5,000 or $6,000. The same thing in a wristwatch is $20,000, $25,000. I mean, it's amazing to see the appreciation of the quality, where Patek came from, and to have a great piece of history that you can just kind of sit on your desk. Again, I love seeing those things. I get excited every time I get one. Maybe it's because my dad was a watchmaker, but I still have appreciation for those and love the old vintage enamel dials. So that's just another great piece we had fun to see come in. As the world is opening up, we're feeling much more energy coming back to the watch business. Traffic is up. I was able to get a haircut. It makes me feel great again. And life is different, but definitely a new normal. Coming down on a regular basis, a little bit more of a regular schedule. We're definitely feeling the opening up of the business. Rolex and Patek are back in business in the States. Journe was shipping this week. We've been actively trading, so there's definitely a little more activity and a little more normalcy. The thing that surprises me the most is prices are very strong, and in certain areas rising again. We've seen Nautilus and Aquanauts have stabilized and strengthened a little bit. We've sold through everything we had in inventory in 5711s and 5712s, and the market seems to be trading those really actively. They were falling for a while and now have definitely stabilized, and if anything, are starting to creep back up. White Daytonas, blue Sky Dwellers is the same situation. They're testing market highs, and this really surprised me because now that Rolex is opening up, I expected we'll see more shipments, but the demand seems to be coming back online very strong and much, much quicker than expected. I really thought we'd have a really quiet summer and kind of slow things down, but it's feeling right now that things are going to bounce back a little faster than we expected. I'm assuming we're seeing a little bit of a correlation to the stock market. Everybody saw what the market did last week. Big surprise with jobs numbers, and the market shot up. I think everyone's feeling a little better. Maybe this is going to be our normalcy and we can all handle this. So hopefully we come back to normal and the watch market kind of mimics the stock market. We'll see how that goes. The numbers from SIX Switzerland are still grim. Obviously there's a lot of brands that are having trouble, but hopefully they can make up for some lost time with this new normal. Now, the last major crisis we went through was in 2008. And what happened afterwards was it really became, Rolex and Patek became heads and shoulders above the rest of the market. And I expect we might see the same thing happen again. Everybody makes the argument that Rolex is just too big and produces too much, so prices will eventually come down, but we're not seeing that yet. We're seeing watches still trade over retail, especially in the hot steel sport models. We're also seeing the sports models come back to pre-COVID levels very quickly. Explorer 2s and Hulks are even stronger than they were before because rumors now that they're going to go away and gains in strength, and it seems to be picking up momentum. I think we'll see new models by the fall, and more importantly, we'll hear about the final retirements, and then the market will settle wherever it's going to settle. So the last piece we want to talk about is value buys. There's a couple things that I still think are great values. The Patek Platinum, specifically the 5056P. This was their annual calendar, moon phase power reserve, had a cool gray dial, was always an awesome piece. And again, the annual calendars and the dressier Pateks have softened up and really haven't bounced back. And I think those represent a great value. That, the 5035 is the most classic, but this one is still my favorite, the 5056P with that gray dial. I think it's a great buy. The second piece I love is that Lumen that we talked about earlier. It is a piece they only made 200 of. It's iconic, it's cool, it'll never be overproduced. I think that's a watch that, where it's trading in the $70,000 range, which is basically right around where the retail was. I think that's a piece that could push north and head close to 100,000. So I think long term, that's going to be a great buy. And it's also a watch you'll just enjoy owning. So I think that's an amazing piece. The last piece I will talk about is the IWC Perpetual Calendars. Now, with the new introduction they're coming out with on the smaller ones, we've seen some softening on the original Perpetuals. It's a great watch, it's great size, it's now sub $20,000. I think that's a piece that's just a beautiful, big, cool watch that you can pick up at a really good value right now. So that's about it we got for this week. Please follow us on Instagram Live. We're still doing the regular schedule. I'll actually be on Friday with Armand. We're going to be talking about shaped watches and shaped cases. It'll be a great story. So please keep the feedback coming. I really appreciate some of the great comments we got last week. Last week was definitely a difficult show, but we got some great support from our customers out there and our friends, most importantly. So everybody stay safe. Let's try to get back to normal and have a great week.